record on this. All right, so we're talking about career skills or career services. So I'll go through this slide, address a few of the um, critical pieces to resume building, networking, just items that really help get, help you land that job that you want. And there's a few things we'll talk about, different angles at this. So let me go ahead. I'm going to see if I can mute everyone here. Participants. Mute all for now. There we go. All right. So career planning. As you guys have probably noticed by now, there are a lot of different things in IT. It's not just you're a programmer, or it's not even just you're a C# programmer or a Java programmer or a JavaScript programmer. There's a lot of different tools that go into it. So you do have to learn a handful of those tools. Let's see here. I'm gonna mute all. All right. You do have to use a bunch of those tools, but you also want to figure out where you want to go specifically. Just like this, it says you specialize, like a doctor can be an oncologist, cardiologist, pediatrician. As a developer, it's best to choose a specific route. Do you want to be a back-end developer, a front-end developer, full stack? Do you want to develop specifically in a framework and become really good at that? It's always better to be what we call T-shaped individuals. And a T-shaped individual is someone who they've got a breadth of knowledge. They know, a little bit about a lot, or a good amount about a lot, but then they specialize really deep in one area, and that creates a T-shaped individual. So that's the goal of something to work towards. When you're looking for a career or a job, you can use the SWOT acronym if you guys have heard that before. Then it basically takes in a few factors that help you introspectively evaluate yourself and how to get where you want. And that includes your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities that are out there, and some threats or things that could impede your success. So some examples of strengths would be things like if you're creative, you're motivating, energetic, dedicated, what's up there on the slide. You work well with others, you're patient, those types of things. Weaknesses are any qualities that you have that are generally frowned upon in society. They're things that, like you see, impatient or outspoken in a negative way. Those are types of things that can restrict you, where it might people won't work well with you, or you won't work well with people. So you take your strengths and you try to augment them, try to build upon them. Your weaknesses, you want to recognize them, because we all have weaknesses. And one weakness that some people have is not realizing their weaknesses, thinking that they're perfect. And that's a really bad weakness to have, because what happens then is you never realize where you can progress. And a big part of this industry, and any industry for that, is continual progression. You want to find ways that you can better yourself so you can keep growing more and more. Opportunities are the opportunities that are out there. Like I said, front end, back end, data scientist, automation, quality assurance, scripting, what's that? It's right there. Machine learning, any type of those things, they're more specific. So look at the opportunities and see which one you want to pursue. Choose one and go for that. Threats can be anything, like it says, criminal history, finances, unemployment, anything that's keeping you from succeeding and keeping you from accomplishing what you want. So you want to build on your strengths. You want to acknowledge your weaknesses and make them into strengths. You want to look at the opportunities that are out there, decide which ones you want to pursue, and then you want to evaluate your threats so you can eliminate as many as possible and find a way to overcome them. Because if you don't know what you're up against, the odds are you're not going to be able to beat it because you haven't identified it yet. So soft skills, you guys all know what soft skills are. You've heard the term before, but basically you have your technical skills, which would be your programming. And then you have your soft skills, which is like your interpersonal relationship skills, the ability to speak and work well with teams. A lot of these get developed in previous jobs. So For those of you who are making a career shift right now, you have skills that you've developed in previous positions and times in your life, and you should use those, work them to your advantage. Some of you may know that in the IT world, um, not everyone's always super personable. Sometimes people are quiet, they keep to themselves, and that's kind of a stigma that comes with it. But more and more increasingly, um, employers are looking for people who, like, you may be the best programmer out there and they may not hire you because they're looking for someone who can be a leader, who can communicate well and work well with others. So I would even say that first and foremost, those are the most important skills to have. So make sure you do some introspective studies of yourself and figure out ways you can improve, because we all have room for improvement in those areas. I was actually talking the other day with some large employers in the area about, you know, what they want to see from our students when our students graduate. We want to provide the highest quality students and candidates to them. And they said that, you know what, teach them the skills and that's great. But what we're really looking for are individuals who are leaders and who have these soft skills. You can always learn the technical skills. And I'm not downplaying them. The whole point of coming here and getting this education is to learn these skills. So you do want to put a lot of time and effort into them. But what companies are looking for first and foremost is that you will be a good player on their team, which usually has a lot more to do with your soft skills and a little bit to do with your technical skills. So we'll talk about resume. As the slide says, resume 101. So what do you want your resume to be? And as long as you can remember these 3 C's, then you're going to be good. So clean, concise, and convincing. Most of these are self-explanatory, but clean means, you know, it's nice, it's neat, you can look at it, and it doesn't look like an eyesore. Concise means it's to the point and it's relevant to the job. You want to use specific words and verbs that say what you do yourself for the positions that you've listed on there. And then convincing, just, you know, you write it in a way that convinces them. And one point that it says here, don't try to use big fancy words. This is good. You know, if you have an extensive vocabulary and there are words that you use on a daily basis that are understood by, you know, 99% of the population, those are okay. But if you try to bolster your resume by, like, if you have a dictionary in front of you while you're writing a resume, that's probably a sign you're doing it wrong. Just make sure you're being grammatically correct and you're saying words that, and you're using words that make sense. Don't try to, don't try to go Shakespeare on them. Just plain words, be honest. That's what people like to see. So we've got a couple examples here, of a bad example and a good example. What you want to be, so you only have like 7 to 10 seconds. People are going through a lot of resumes, hiring managers, HR, they're looking through a lot of resumes, and you want to capture their attention right away. So you got to put a couple, most of the most important things right at the top in front of your resume. What that can be is your GitHub, some tech skills, and your project examples. So GitHub, that's the link to your GitHub. Your tech skills, that is just bullet point or list of your the technologies you have experience with. And sometimes, actually, I'll get to that in just a second. So that's things, you know, like Bootstrap, C#, JavaScript, Angular, React, whatever skills you have learned here or in the past or are currently learning on your own, you list those. I would highly recommend listing those, not all together, but maybe dividing them up into most, like, I'm proficient in C#, .NET, and Entity Framework. I am familiar with and learning CSS3, Sass. So some other ones that you are, you know, you've done a little bit with them, but you're not an expert in. Because as soon as you say, oh yeah, I know this, then people are, they're free to grill you on those. If you just put like 100 different technologies and you say, just because you've heard of them or even done a little bit with them and say, yeah, I know these, then any hiring manager can look at it and pick out any one of those and ask you any question they want. So don't just shotgun or pepper spray technologies all over there just because you've done a few things with them. That's very important. I actually, Jarvis heard this because I said it just the other day. When I started, I had quite a few technologies listed on my resume that I had done work in, and I had done quite a bit of work in each of them. You would think that as I progressed in my career, that list would get bigger because I was working with more. Now I have learned more technologies, but the funny thing is, I have actually removed technologies from there, and my list has gotten smaller. And that's because the more I learned, the more I realized. For example, I had C# and Java on my resume. I did a few years of Java development, and then I realized how much there was to do with that specific language. And I said, I can't comfortably say I know C# as well as I know Java now. So I removed that off my resume. So just make sure that your resume reflects accurately your skill level in these areas, and only put ones that you're comfortable answering any question on in your, like, I know these, or I've mastered these. And then project examples, you can link to your projects. That's a lot shorter than the tech skills rant I just went on, but it's straightforward. You can link to your project. So let's take a look at a bad example here. Can you guys see the web browser that's opening up right now? Okay, good. So we got a bad example here. If you take a look at the way these, let's see. So it doesn't look good at first because I'm looking at this, and these technologies together, they all kind of seem bundled up. Now, I will say this isn't the worst example at all, because I can look here and I can see, all right, I can see what's there. But this italicized piece right here, that kind of trips me up at first. You want to make sure that when you're looking at a resume, it pops out the way you want it to. So this isn't clean. I would put an extra space between this proficient and continued learning, and make it maybe even a space between here and there so that it stands out more. Let's see. Now, we talked about this a little bit the other day at residency. So for those of you who weren't there, it's best to try to get your resume onto one page if possible. Now, it's not always possible, so if you go over 2 pages, it's not the end of the world. But like I said earlier, with only 7 to 10 seconds of looking at it, you want to make sure that they see what's important. You can definitely list out all of your work and education. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But make it concise and only use a few bullet points to tell exactly what you did, because you want them to see it right away. Overall, I mean, this isn't a horrible example, but it could be better. So let's go ahead and we'll look at the better one here. So you see how it's one page. I can see here these bullet points. It's a lot more concise what I'm looking at. I don't have that italicized. It's bolded. I can see exactly what's there. Those are the biggest points. Here you have just the 1 to 2 bullet points. Just really briefly and concisely say, this is what I learned here. This is what I did. So this is a resume I can look at, and I can see exactly what this person says. I've got the GitHub link at the top here, LinkedIn. Real clean and concise, makes it real easy to look at them and know whether they're a fit or not, at least on paper, and bring them in if I'm ready. I've seen some resumes that are like 5 pages long, and I've had people ask me, they're like, hey, can you review this person and tell me if we should hire them or not? And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't have time to read through this. I mean, 5 pages, that's a lot. So please don't have a 5-page resume. Like I say, if it expands and overflows into 2, it's not the end of the world. That's okay. I'll be honest, mine's a 1.5 pages, so it's not the worst. But I would like to work on mine to get it down to 1 page. You want to make it like a snapshot or thumbprint of who you are and why you're valuable to that company. So here's some things to never include on your resume: misspelled words or bad grammar. I interviewed someone the other day, and he's actually a friend of mine. So it was funny. I gave him a hard time about it, but he had uh, was it? I can't remember which order it was in, but he had his list of technologies and he had commas between each one, but he forgot a comma between two technologies. So it said like Bootstrap WordPress. And so at the end of the interview, I asked him, I said, hey, I'm just curious. I have to ask you, what is Bootstrap WordPress? Because I've heard of Bootstrap, I've heard of WordPress, I've never heard of Bootstrap WordPress. And he's like, oh, I forgot that. I'm like, hey, don't worry about it. I'm just giving you a hard time. But just proofread it so that it looks good and there's nothing funky on there. Don't put your social security number. Should be common sense, but please don't put that type of stuff on there. Jokes like I like to hack the FBI in free time. I mean, that's not super funny. So also evaluate the feel of the company. Some companies are more creative and more laid back, and they might appreciate something a little less jokey than this, but still with a little bit of humor. For the most part, let's leave jokes off the resumes. Irrelevant work and job experience. Now, when you hear that, that does not mean. So I'm a software engineer and I'm an instructor. I'm a teacher. But I still have, well, actually the teacher part's probably not a good example for this because I have 10 years of music education experience being a music teacher. Before I was a software engineering instructor, I was just a software engineer. But I still put that I was a music teacher on there because some of the bullet points under that relate to my job as a software engineer. I'm good with communicating with people, figuring out what mentoring individuals. So there are skills you can take from previous jobs that aren't in the tech field and apply them towards it. But if you can't find bullet points that you can say, hey, these will help me in this position, then don't list that job. Whoops, I gotta go back. Meaningless words that you don't use in your normal everyday vocabulary. We already spoke about that, right? If it's not, if you have Webster open in front of you, trying to be fancy, you're doing it wrong. Just use your normal vocabulary. You never list your reasons for leaving your previous position. Another thing is in your interviews, never talk badly or poorly about your previous employers. Because if you get in there and you start saying things like, yeah, I left because my last boss was such a jerk and this and that, that shows that you have a bad attitude. And automatically employers will be like, well, he's going to feel the same way about us. Like, we don't want this person. You want to be very positive always about that. It goes back to that. If you don't have something nice to say about your previous employer, don't say it at all, especially on your resume or in the interview process. You don't need to list your hobbies. You don't list your salary requirements. Usually you should know what the range is for that position. And then when you get your job offer, that's when you start negotiating salary. References, you don't have to put them on your resume. You can put just something that says ask for references, or if they want references, they can ask you. So you can just leave that off completely. And unprofessional contact information. What that means, and we'll see example of it, I think on the next slide here. Nope, not on that slide. Basically, if you have an email like scott.gleaton@yahoo.com, that's okay. But if you have like Scott's picking up chicks all day long at yahoo.com, that's not the email address you want to put on your resume. That's just, please don't do that. And if that's the only email you have, Scott, make sure you change it to an email. Make sure you create a new email, right? And I'm just giving Scott a hard time. I'm pretty sure that's not his email address. He's more professional than that. Thanks for letting me pick on you, Scott. Networking. So we talked about resume. We got to talk about networking. This is one of the most important aspects of finding a job and finding a good job that you like, because a lot of it does. So you can always find a job. I'll put that out there first. But to keep moving up and finding the best jobs, it comes a lot of from the people that you know. Sorry, get my words jumbled. the people that you know, and that's not saying the people that you know as far as like you've grown up with them and their family friends. That's saying the people that you meet, that you take time um, to go out of your way to make these acquaintances. I know a lot of people that they've met someone at a networking event, and because of that, they got hired just by casually having a conversation with them and saying, "Oh yeah, I'm looking for a position. I just finished my Coder Camps schooling, and we learned this. It was pretty cool, and now I'm looking for a position." And then people have pulled out their card and said, "Hey, give me a call. We want to." We're hiring. I'd like to meet with you and possibly have an interview. So get out and network. There's in-person networking. You can go to meetup.com or Eventbrite and find things like JavaScript or C#, .NET meetups in your area, and go to those and meet people. Get out of your comfort zone a little bit, because that's how you progress. You push yourself. It's just like lifting weights. I use this example all the time. When you lift weights, it tears down your muscles. You're sore. It doesn't always feel great, but then it builds back up and you get stronger. Stepping out of your comfort zone or learning new things, anything that pushes you, has the same effect on your success and on your mind. So do things like that. And then LinkedIn also, very important that you, and we'll talk about it in a bit, but you get your LinkedIn profile up to date. LinkedIn will actually tell you the strength of your profile. It'll tell you, hey, you need a little bit of work, or it'll tell you, hey, you're an all-star profile. So make sure you work on LinkedIn a lot. See, I've got a chat here. All right. So finding the right fit. This is very important. I think I've said that on about every slide now, because this is all very important. A lot of tech companies today are laid back. You don't have to wear a suit. You don't have to wear a tie and slacks unless you like it. That's fine. I wear slacks most of the time, but sometimes I wear slacks and a t-shirt. That's how laid back tech companies are, because that's not normal. But you want to find somewhere that you will be comfortable at and they'll be comfortable with you. And that's all it comes down to, because if you're not going to be comfortable working somewhere, then you don't want to go there. You don't want to have a job where you're going to hate your job. So find the right place that has the environment that's good for you and where you are good for them. So online job search. I got to tell you, this is how I've gotten a few jobs. You need to go onto these websites, at least the top two, and the Dice is good. I haven't personally used Craigslist, but it is still good. Go onto these websites and post your resume. Make it public. Make sure you make it public, because if you leave it private, that's not going to help you that much at all. So go onto these websites, post your resume. You will get people contacting you, recruiters, direct hiring employees or employers, managers. Monster is horrible. I think I got my first job offer from Monster by posting it there. Career Builder. That is a good one. I posted on Career Builder and Monster. I think I did Indeed. I can't remember which one it came from. May have been Monster, may have been Career Builder though. So that's another good one. All right, email and voicemail. We talked about the email example already. Use a good professional email, not a bad one. Your voicemail should be short and to the point, and also make sure that it's professional too. If you get on there and it's rude, it's crude, it sounds bad, that's not good. Make sure you have a professional voicemail, a professional email. All right, LinkedIn. Let's take a look at a good example here. Let's see. Scott says Career Builder, Indeed, LinkedIn, Dice, and ZipRecruiter are the best ones. So there are more than were listed out there, and those are all pretty good ones. So good. Thank you for that, Scott. So here's a good example of a LinkedIn profile that's good. You got a professional picture. There's a smile. No, it's a half smile, but it's still a smile. So make sure you're smiling, and you don't have to be doing anything crazy. Just get a nice a bust headshot there. Then let's see. You've got your name. You want to have your position or your post, the small catchphrase, if you will. Have a summary that talks about you, and then list your experience and the organizations you worked at. You want to get your education on there. Any volunteer experience is great. List your skills and get people to endorse you in them. That's really good. Any awards, courses you've taken. Here's where you can put your projects, and you can link to your GitHub. And then if you can get someone to write a recommendation for you, those are really good as well. But basically, it's a mix of quality and quantity. Obviously, first and foremost, you want quality. Make sure you've got good stuff on here. But it's also about getting quantity in a vertical slice here. You want your education, you want your volunteer work, you want your awards and your skills and expertise. What's the frowny for? All right. I'm going to keep going. Sorry. Let's see. No smile. Oh, yeah. Gotcha. No smile. No, you want to have a smile on your profile picture for LinkedIn. All right. So GitHub, you want to have your GitHub going. You want to have as many contributions either to your own projects or even other people's projects, open source. Make sure you're active on GitHub, and make sure add README documents to each of your projects that have documentation that you've written about what your project does. That markdown file is very important because people can click through your projects and see exactly what they are, and it shows that you can write good documentation. So that's very important. So online branding. Okay, if anyone has questions, and I just read your message, but if anyone has questions on changing careers, Brent Watson and Scott, I'll follow up with you after this on that. Brent Watson is a real great contact for that. He's got a lot of information. Okay, I'll work with you on that, Scott. Online branding, it is a tech-driven era, and employees are looking at online sites to get your information. So make sure that you are posting on LinkedIn, connect with a lot of people, get a high volume of followers. You can do this on Twitter as well, Facebook, any of it is good as long as you're being professional. Like this one says, bad branding, pictures of you drinking at last night's party. That's not good. I'll give you an example. I was in the middle of buying a house, and I had a really difficult underwriter, and they kept getting back to me. They were repeating questions. They were asking for stuff that is above and beyond what they normally ask for. And the individual just seemed like just way off. Kept repeating questions, and I would resend her the email and be like, yeah, I sent it to you right here. You even acknowledged it. And then now the underwriter, you usually don't have contact with them. There's the mid person who's your loan individual, but she accidentally forwarded me the underwriter's contact information on accident at one time. And so I got on LinkedIn and I looked for this individual, and what happened was the picture I saw was this individual doing like a duck face and like this. It was very unprofessional picture, and I was like, oh, this is who I'm dealing with right now. I was automatically like, great, this is the person who's determining whether I get this loan. And just because, and you know what, this individual may have actually been the smartest person in the world, may have been the best underwriter in the world, but because of the picture that looked very unprofessional, I immediately dismissed that individual as being that person. So, and I'm not saying that you should judge people based on the picture of their profile picture. What I'm saying is make sure your profile picture is professional so that you don't get that effect. Like employers look at it and like, oh, this person is not the one we want, right? So it's important to be professional. Yeah, no, I got smashed last night, pictures or posts. Those are not professional. Elevator pitches. That's if you have an answer to someone saying, tell me something about yourself, make sure it's not too long, make sure it's nice and concise, 30 to 60 seconds. Talk about what you do well, what your goals are, and why. Why are those your goals? What is your intent? Put together a nice pitch and practice it, and make sure it doesn't sound scripted, but just be ready to answer these questions. Tech interview. There is no one way to prepare. That's because they're all different. It just depends on who's giving the interview. What you want to make sure you do is practice your logic and coding, like whiteboarding skills. These are some good sites to do that on. They'll give you a word problem that you need to solve programmatically. I would highly recommend doing a lot of those. It will work with loops and arrays and string manipulation, algorithms, just making sure you can do those types of bits of programming. And the only way you can do those is by practicing over and over and over again. All right. You can always follow up. What that means is after you have your interview, make sure you reach back out like a day later and say thank you. I have people who have even, I know people who will even send like a card. Make sure you remember the individual's names who interviewed you. Because if you leave that and then you write them a thank you card and mail it to them by name, that makes you stand out. And what that does is say you and 100 other people interviewed for the position, and you were all equal. You were all the same, which never happens. There's some are better, some are a lot are worse. That's fine. But let's just say you're all the same and they don't know who to hire. And you did something like that. When they think about it, you're in their memory. You come to the front of their memory, and it helps you have that step above everyone else. And that is the last slide. So let me see here. Can I send those links for whiteboarding? Yeah, let me go ahead. Let me go back, and I will grab those links. Let's see. Let me copy those. Oh, I got to exit out of this first. Back here. Copy these links. I'm going to post these in the Slack channel right now. And in the .NET one. There you go. Let me read this question here. Oh, nice. At first, I was reading that, Scott. I was like, what is this? Is that's your elevator pitch, though? Right? Good. I like it. I like it. Does anyone have any questions? Let me unmute everybody. Where is it? Manage participants. All right. Any questions?
Sure. Hey, so my email, good, bad, yes, no, create a new one.
Let me see your email.
Sean's World without the O.
Sean's World without the O. So that's an email that's kind of neutral. It's not bad because it doesn't have anything bad in it, but I would make it more professional. I would do a sean.williams@gmail.com or something along those lines.
Correct.
So that would be good. You don't have to get rid of your email. You can keep it for your own thing. But the one you put on your resume and you give to people, I would just do first name dot last name @domainname.com.
Okay, correct.
Good.
You can do it that way and forward those emails to your Sean's World if you want to.
Awesome. Really appreciate that.
Yeah. Just make sure if you do that when you reply, that you're replying from the correct email, so that you don't start off with that one and then get the other one.
Correct.
Any other questions? All right. Hey, thanks for joining me, guys, and good luck. Reach out to me if you have any questions about this or anything programming. That's what I'm here for. Have a good one.
All right.
All right, you too.